This video is part of the Monthly Director Project, a playlist of videos by creators from all over YouTube devoted to exploring the work of one director. This month is devoted to my personal favorite director, Christopher Nolan. So make sure to check out all the other amazing videos on this playlist, and if you have a video you'd like to share, just reach out to CultPopshire on Twitter. Also, I'm about to spoil the twists for literally every single Christopher Nolan film, so here's your spoiler warning. Now, without further ado, on with the show. Christopher Nolan's highly underrated masterpiece, The Prestige, plays out like a magic trick. Michael Caine's opening narration lays out the structure of a trick and therefore the structure for the film. The pledge, the magician shows you something. The turn, he takes that ordinary something and makes it do something extraordinary or makes it disappear. And then the grand finale, The Prestige, where he brings that something back. Nolan serves as the magician, distracting you from the twists hidden in plain sight with a non-linear timeline and flashy Tesla machines. But of course, in the words of Michael Caine, we aren't really looking, we want to be fooled. The film serves as a sort of meta-narrative on filmmaking and storytelling. As Nolan fools and tricks us, so do the characters trick and fool each other. Just like a magic trick or cleverly constructed story, Hugh Jackman's Angier and Bale's Borden seek to distract one another with pretty faces, secret journals that provide stories within stories, or wild goose chases looking for Nikola Tesla, endlessly attempting to deceive one another through endless artifice. This film is a meditation on obsession, but also an analysis of deception. Borden lives his lie, the lie that he is not in fact one person but two twin brothers living the same life, and it slowly rips his family apart, ultimately driving his wife to suicide. Angier spins his own web of lies, using an American accent in his act to create his persona, using Olivia as a spy on Borden, manipulating and tricking Borden into framing himself for his murder, etc. The characters manipulate their audiences and one another just as Nolan manipulates us. As one might suspect, this lying and subterfuge is portrayed as negative in the film. Because of Borden's commitment to his lie, he loses his wife, his mistress, almost loses his daughter, and one half of the duo that is Alfred Borden dies. Angier's constant deceit and commitment to his own lies loses him Olivia and his own life as well, all of which started because one of the Borden twins may or may not have lied about which knot he tied when Angier's wife died, literally lying to himself in a way. It's a very clear message, lying is bad. Cool. We got that from Sesame Street as kids. But is there ever a point in time where deceit is necessary? Where a small lie might be the lesser of two evils? Can a lie for a good reason ultimately be good? Take, for example, the shell-shocked soldier in Dunkirk, played by Cillian Murphy. He accidentally kills a child, George, and ultimately he is lied to and told that George is okay. Telling him the truth would have just destroyed him further. For another example, let's look at Interstellar. Towards the end of Interstellar, two lies are revealed. We learn that Michael Caine's Professor Brand lied about the mission that our main character, Cooper, embarks on. That there is no way to save the people on Earth, and that Plan B, growing new human embryos on a new planet, is in fact the only option. We then learn that Dr. Mann has lied about his planet being viable, so that he can be rescued. Both of these lies are born out of the desire to survive. We can understand why Dr. Mann would lie to be rescued, but it is still an inherently selfish act that puts the rest of the human race at risk. It is portrayed as thoroughly negative, as is Professor Brand's lie. Because of him, Cooper left his children to die without him when he thought he was saving them by leaving. However, this lie yields positive results. Because of this lie, Cooper is able to save the entire human race. So ultimately, was this lie excusable because it facilitated the salvation of all mankind? Did the ends justify the means in this case? Well, let's take a look at Nolan's third film, Insomnia. At the end of Insomnia, it is revealed that Al Pacino's character, Detective Will Dormer, planted evidence that would convict a pedophile and keep him off the streets. This is a lie with dire consequences either way. Dormer has broken the law and violated the justice system, but on the other hand, if he hadn't, a dangerous pedophile might still be on the loose harming children. This presents a bit of a moral quandary. In this case, do the ends justify the means? According to Nolan, no. Dormer accidentally shoots and kills his partner, or at least he thinks it's an accident, and has to work overtime to cover up this new crime, so that it doesn't reveal the old crime. He's forced to morally compromise over and over and over again throughout the film. Lies begin getting more lies, all the while being blackmailed by the movie's villain, who saw the whole thing. By the end of the film, Dormer's crime has been discovered by Hilary Swank's Ellie Burr, who considers destroying the evidence so as to not destroy Dormer's good name. However, he urges her to not make the same mistake he did, to keep her integrity. And Nolan leaves the character here, with a choice to make. How much does the truth matter? How much is integrity worth? We, as the audience, are left to wrestle with this same conundrum. This theme is tackled perhaps the most explicitly in the latter two Dark Knight films. In The Dark Knight, Batman decides to take the blame for Harvey Dent's murder so that the Dent Act won't fall apart, allowing Gotham to be rid of the gangsters that rule the city. Meanwhile, Alfred decides to burn a letter from Rachel rejecting Bruce so as to not cause him more pain after her death. Watching The Dark Knight in isolation, the theme seems to be that sometimes it's more noble to deceive when done for a good reason, that the ethics of honesty are fluid. But in The Dark Knight Rises, we have an answer to this question that Nolan poses over and over and over again. The Dent Act cleaned up Gotham, but it allowed Bane to take advantage of the huge class divide that resulted. Alfred didn't want to hurt Bruce, but withholding the letter kept Bruce from moving on with his life, entering a sort of limbo because he thought he had missed his one shot at a normal life, even though that shot was never really there. Here, Nolan's thoughts on the matter are more clear. The truth matters. Integrity is key. However, oftentimes it isn't others we deceive. Oftentimes it's something far more insidious. Sometimes we deceive ourselves. At the end of Memento, or rather the beginning, we discover that our main character, Leonard Shelby, has been lied to. He thinks he's been hunting his wife's killer, when in reality he accidentally killed his wife years before by giving her too many doses of insulin as a result of his short-term memory loss. An undercover cop, Teddy, helped him track down his wife's original attacker years before, but Leonard didn't remember. So Teddy has had him tracking down other criminals and murdering them, thinking that he was murdering his wife's killer over and over and over again. At this point in the film, Leonard makes a disturbing decision. He burns the evidence that might verify Teddy's claims and sets up new clues for himself to find that will point him towards believing Teddy is his wife's murderer, so that he will kill him in the future. In a disturbing twist, Leonard decides to deceive himself rather than accepting the horrifying reality that he was the one that killed his wife. He would rather kill Teddy and anyone else he suspects in the future than to ink that harsh reality onto his body. Many of Nolan's characters lose their grips on reality, ignoring hard truths in favor of more comfortable lies. Mal in Inception can't accept that she has woken up, that her world is real. Robin Williams' killer in Insomnia tells Dormer that his murder of a young girl was an accident, even though it is clearly purposeful. And Dormer himself doubts more and more whether or not his killing of his partner was an accident or not. The characters in Tenet often talk about how it's better not to know about their futures, even when one character could probably save another one as a result of inversion. And even though the majority of Inception revolves around Cobb coming to terms with the guilt of causing his wife's suicide, at the end of the film he lets the top spin, ignoring it in favor of seeing his children again. This could be interpreted as him letting go of the fear of losing his grip on reality as his wife did. Or it could imply that at this point he just doesn't care anymore. Reality or not, he is with his children once again. But perhaps the most disturbing vision of these sorts of lies for me is once again in The Prestige. After Angier's wife drowns, Michael Caine's Cutter feeds him a comforting lie, that an old sailor friend of his almost drowned and said it was like going home. Angier seems to internalize this, drowning either himself or his clone every night after his show, perhaps as some sort of penance for allowing his wife to die in that manner. But he seems to have convinced himself that this isn't the worst way to go, subconsciously clinging to the lie that Cutter fed him years before. So when Cutter discovers what he's been up to, he decides to wake Angier up from his fantasy.
I was lying. He said it was agony.
Simple truths, like drowning is awful, have become elusive to our main character as he has deluded himself over and over and over again. And this seems to be Nolan's thesis on the matter, that we as humans claim to love the truth, but more often than not we look for a way to weasel out of it. We are so very desperate to ignore reality, to lie to ourselves to avoid pain or discomfort. In Nolan's films, he shows us how rarely we put our own beliefs and motives under a microscope, how easy it is to see the sins of others, and how hard it is to be honest with ourselves. We lie to others when it's more convenient, and worse, we lie to ourselves. Like an audience at a theater, you aren't really looking for the truth. No, you want to be fooled.